If you know 3,000 words in English, you can pretty much say anything that you need to say. I'm teaching 3,000 words in 3,000 days. Let's take a look. Historical. Historical has some synonyms. For example, actual, real, authentic. Historical refers to the history of something. If something is historical, then it has some precedence to it. The historical significance of the Declaration of Independence cannot be overstated, as it marked the birth of a new nation. I would say that it marked more than the birth of a new nation. It marked the rise of democracy around the world. Many tourists visit Rome to admire its historical landmarks, such as the Colosseum and the Roman Forum. So the historical landmarks, when we're talking about the word historical, we're looking to the past. When we talk about the word historic, we're looking to the importance of the situation now and that it will be history because it's so important. It won't be forgotten. Historical talks about those things in the past. The professor specializes in historical analysis, focusing on the causes and effects of the Industrial Revolution. The movie, while entertaining, took several liberties with historical accuracy in creating a more dramatic storyline. So notice we're still talking about history. Researchers unearthed a set of historical documents that shed new light on the early colonial period. The opposite of historical might be fictional, theoretical, no, non-historical, speculative. So looking at the opposites often gives us a better understanding of the meaning. For example, historical has to do with history, but it also must be true. Non-historical is just a non in front of historical, just like un and in make it just the opposite of that word. And then speculative. Speculative is something that you think might be true, but is not necessarily true. You don't have any proof for it. So historical would mean that there is there's actual proof for your idea. For example, I speculate. I have a speculative theory that irregular verbs in English are the same as irregular verbs in other languages. So if you come up against a word that you're not sure is irregular, a verb that you're not sure is irregular in English, think about if it's irregular in your language. If it's irregular in your language, then it's probably irregular in English. I'm just speculating here. I don't know that this is a true statement, but it's from what I've observed. But I don't think that I've observed enough languages to really say that this is the case. Another speculation I have is that those words that are irregular are the most common words, the verbs. For example, go. Go is a very irregular verb. Am, be. The be verb is so irregular that in some tenses, in some languages, you don't even have it. These concepts, go and be, are some of the most primeval or the earliest concepts that a human might need to express. And so my speculation, this is not historical, I'm just thinking about it and it makes sense to me. My speculation is that vocabulary developed before grammar needed to organize those words. And grammar is something that our brains just do. We are born with grammar, with our brain wanting to categorize things and make it make sense. So before we had grammar, we had only a few words. And those concepts from then don't follow the grammatical rules. That's my speculation. I don't have any studies or historical proof of this, but as an observer of languages, I think that this might be true. It's a speculation. History is the noun. Historicize? Historicize is the verb, and it's not a common verb, but it means to make historical. So perhaps you're a researcher and you find something that nobody's ever seen before, but it was part of a culture or part of history at some point. And you and it changes history. You want to make that thing, you want to historicize that thing. So it's not just an idea now, you've made it into part of the history. The adjective is historical. Remember, historical has to do with the actual history. Historic has to do with the event being so important that it will become part of history. And the adverb is historically. If you know 3,000 words in English, you can pretty much say anything that you need to say. I'm teaching 3,000 words in 3,000 days. Let's take a look.